You are live, sir.
All right. Today's technical session, T-45, will be on securing mobile devices. Before I even get to the objectives, why would it be important to secure mobile devices? Someone in the class, please speak out.
Mobile devices carry a lot of personal information. You don't want just anybody getting access to that.
Especially now, right? Because your job could be issuing you a mobile device, or Kelly always speak. That's just it's a computer in your pocket, so you could be carrying some vital information. You hear about a lot of artists who jot their raps down in their phone. So if you lose that, then that's millions of dollars right there. So you want to be able to secure it so nobody can get in there. So let's see what these objectives are for today. We will explain the importance of securing mobile devices. Alan kind of hit on it already. Describe several best practices for securing mobile devices, policies and procedures relating to securing those devices, and common pitfalls surrounding securing mobile devices. And the BSMs that we will attach to this technical session will be adaptability. I can see how that can be super important, especially with the going in correlation with future orientation. They're already having a newer device coming out when they sell you the device that you're buying. So as we talked about, and Mark has mentioned to us that the 13th evolution of the iPhone has satellite call capabilities. How long do you think they've been working on that? They just did start on that. So you want to be able to continue to keep up with the trends and use them in ways to positively impact your organization, but also keep it up with the trends so you could also foresee any possible exploits, someone using that technology to harm your organization. So you need to stay on top of it. I want somebody to read. I want someone to read.
I can read.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right.
Redemption from that computer situation early.
Importance of securing mobile devices. Nowadays, smartphones and tablets keep much of our personal information and professional information. Information that might be stored on a mobile device that would be at risk if the device is lost, stolen, or damaged includes data kept by apps, email, calendar, call logs, voicemail, text messages, maps, chats, social networks, contacts, and browsing history, videos and photos of date and timestamps with GPS locations, network connection settings, including Wi-Fi security keys, email configuration settings, usernames, and email addresses, purchasing patterns and history, as well as credit card information.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you. Alan, that was the other big part too. Credit card information. We tend to use our phone in replace of our wallet. So, because it is a wallet now. So that's another reason to be super mindful and keeping it really close to you at all times. Thank you again, Luis. Let's see what we got going here. We got several methods that we'll talk about with securing mobile devices. We got the string lock, we got the remote wipe, location services, applications, remote backup, the failed login attempts, the anti-malware, patching, biometric, full device encryption, multi-factor authentication, as well as authenticator applications, firewalls, because phones have those as well, and trusted sources versus untrusted sources. So it should be a pretty quick one. String locks. Anybody can remember the first time you saw string lock? How long ago has it been?
Back when I owned the LG phone.
How long
Probably
ago?
like 12 or 13 years.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Like, but was it my first interaction with a string lock? Was it before my iPhone? I'm trying to see if my Nextel had some type of string lock. Either way.
Even the snake phones had screen locks, kind of.
Did they? Yeah, you did have to put a pin in. So very basic, as this slide says, basic way to try to keep someone from out of your device, especially if they don't know you, because a lot of times, even the little kids, they memorize your screen lock so they can get in and play their games or try to find a game to play. So it was one of the earlier versions of protection or security. And then we went on to the fingerprint lock, which was really neat and was used for quite some time. But now we've moved on to face lock. And I was talking with April just the other day, and I was like, I'm not a big fan of that face lock. He like, Mark, just enable it. It works. And me, out of all people, saying that I'm not a fan of something, but when I was graciously given a new phone, because my the phone that I had before this still had the home button, so it still had the fingerprint. So I had to turn everything off of that and enable the face lock. So show of hands, who phone has what. So let's see this, keep this interactive, keep everybody live. For the folks that have the face lock, I need what emoji works for me. Alan, give me an emoji for face lock. That we got one. Luis beat you. So put the bear up if your phone has the face lock. And if your phone has the fingerprint lock, put up the glasses with the sunshade. So because we gotta have one or other at this point. Okay. So 1, 2. Okay. Still got some fingerprint still out there.
Wait, I still use a number lock.
I still do too. And I didn't have a.
The question is it capable of it versus whether or not you use it?
That's good job.
Oh, okay. I got both. Okay. I guess I got the face.
Okay. Because sometimes at night, you try to, John, you put up a pumpkin. I don't know what that correlates to. But
she unlocks with her brain.
Or she shake it or something. I don't know. But I will allow the number lock to work, especially when I'm not trying to put my face. Like if it's just sitting there and it times out, it asks for the number lock and you just use that. Which is simple. It's 9999. Just FYI. Keep it simple. And no, I would not.
If they start at the bottom and go 0000, 0001, that's the last one they're going to do.
Yeah. I made that's security. You guys got to use it. You got to use it for more than a hat holder. You got to think about it, man. Nah. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about screen locks. Who wants to? Let's see. Alan, go for it, sir.
Swipe lock. It uses a gesture or a series of gestures, sometimes involving the movement of an icon to open the screen. In some cases, they require only knowledge of the mobile platform in use. They offer no security to the process because no authentication of the user is occurring. In other instances, like Android, they require a pattern between 9 dots to be swiped to unlock the device. Swipe lock is the least secure of any locking methods because your finger leaves a grease trail, which allows someone to figure out the swipe pattern.
And with that, do you know how they determine the start point versus the end point?
You kind of can, because you'll see like them press the end point, it'll be like darker and the start point will be lighter.
Yes, the grease is heavier at the beginning of your pattern.
Oh, well, the opposite of what I said.
Yeah. So yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's like the smears are heavier at the beginning of the pattern and lighter at the other end because you've wiped off the grease. It's just like on a combination lock, the two most worn keys on a combination lock are the first two numbers of the combination.
But why do y'all know that? That's still kind of, that's scary. What are y'all doing?
Be a hacker when I grow up. Yeah.
What you trying to say, Mark? We look shady?
You eat chicken and then open your phone.
Oh man, I'm just saying y'all shoulder surfing and stuff and tailgate. Why would y'all, how y'all know about that? Just seems like I wouldn't know that right off that, hey, this means that it starts here. I guess y'all probably watch some spy movies or something. I don't know, but
But I mean, it's
I
kind of
get
like
it.
when you're thinking about buying a used car. One of the things you should always do is check the brakes, check the brake pedal. If the brake pedal's worn, especially off to one side, it means they rode the brakes a lot, and you're going to start seeing more and more problems with the car because
Look at this guy with the used car, the used car tricks. I like that. Like, hey
Wait,
man, y'all this back.
the brakes, because why are the brakes?
So if the brake pedal has an unnecessary level of wear on the pedal, it's a possibility that the owner would stay on the brakes a lot longer than they need to. Like just using it excessively it could cause some brake issues down the line.
And wear on the engine too, because you're straining the engine. If you're hitting the gas pedal, it means they're typically driving with 2 feet. So you're pressing the gas and the brake at the same time, like in heavy traffic, rather than using 1 foot going back and forth. So there's more strain and wear in the engine due to this fact. So
I see you, Kelly. I like that. That's a fun fact. I used to like the swipe lock because I used to make little patterns, but then what happens if you forget the pattern, so.
I thought you were going to say then you took this class.
No, I think the phone I just stopped using it. Well, I only used it for certain actual, not for the get into the phone, but to get into a particular, like a Capital One app to pay my bill or something. It was on that. So, and it was just different. Screen lock's another one. Passcode, which is the big one that we use. Jimmy, are you here? Are you available?
Yeah. Yes. That's what I use. You want me to read it?
Please, sir.
Okay. So passcode log on an iOS-based device, navigate to settings, passcode log to set the password and settings. General auto log to set the amount of time before the iPhone locks. Setting the password on an Android phone is done by navigating to settings location and security change screen lock. The length of the time the device remains idle until the screen locks can be set, as well as a method to set the password between none, pattern, pin, or password. Select the password and then enter the desired password.
Thank you, sir. This is probably one of the most common ones that we end up using a lot. And I guess I want to make sure you guys know this. The reason that we are doing this right now is because on the CompTIA exam, they may ask you how to get to passcode lock, or how do you navigate using the general settings to get to this area, and just kind of be familiar with it. A lot of us use these devices, so and they're kind of the same or a very subtle variation between Android and iOS. So just keep your ears open on this. It's just knowing the general sense of how to navigate to these settings. All right. Next one is going to be remote wipes. And I want Rienzi, if you don't mind.
Remote wipes are instructions sent remotely to a mobile device that erase all the data when the device is stolen. In the case of the iPhone, this feature is closely connected to the locator application. iPhone. To perform a remote wipe on an iPhone, navigate to Settings iCloud. On this tab, ensure that Find My Phone is enabled. Next, use the browser to go to iCloud.com and log in using the Apple ID used on the phone. Android. The Android phones do not come with an official remote wipe. However, it is possible to install an Android app, Lost Android. That will do this. Once the app is installed, it works in the same way that iPhone Remote Wipe does, but logging into the Lost Android website using a Google login.
Thank you, ma'am. So, let me pause this for a second. Ashley Madison. Anybody familiar with that website? When I say Ashley Madison, does that ring a bell to anyone here? Wow. I really like that. But Renz, you gotta get rid of that green check up in the top corner of your thing. I don't know. I keep going over there. Now you made it red. That's gonna make it worse. So Ashley Madison was the site created for businessmen to, or mostly men, probably women can be on there, to step out on there. Come on, Renz, you gotta fix it.
How do I get rid of it?
You know,
Okay.
you made it. You put speed up. Now you're gonna make me talk faster.
Y'all have heard of that site.
Oh, hold on. They act like they haven't. Renee, can you tell them what the site is about, please? Because I was like, I know.
It's a site where businessmen go on there to cheat on their wives.
I never heard of that.
Why do you know this, Mark?
Because
It was on Blurry and everything.
It was a big come out like 5 or 6 years ago where people got
data breaches in history.
So then you were able to see governors' names, their email addresses, because they got caught up and did like famous people.
Classy cheating website. Okay.
Yes, it was the professional one, and their whole thing was they sold themselves as the site that was very hush and very, like, hey, your business safe with us type deal. Clearly it wasn't, and you would wonder, Marvin, why bring this up right now? Okay, so remote wipe. So what do you think people are using remote wipe? If your device is lost or stolen, right? Or if your significant other tried to get it and you need to hurry up and brick it before they got into it. That's what a lot of people used it for. That's not the reason it was created, but that was the reason it was being used. Just trying to share the information. And hopefully that helps it stick. Hopefully y'all know. So if your device is out of your hands, with iPhone, you can go to iCloud and you can brick it, make it non-usable, non-searchable, brick it. You can do their computers the same way. And the person cannot use it because of you setting that play emotion. And as you can see, you can also remote wipe with Android as well. Just wanted to throw a little bit of humor and tidbit in there to let you know that that's something that was actually happening. Back to our regular scheduled broadcasting here. Let me turn this back on. All right. Locator applications. I'm going to read this. So with Apple and Android, there are ways to identify your device. We know now that we have satellites, gyroscopes, and everything going, and you'll be able to always identify if your phone has power and a connection. It can be located with that technology. So you have the ability to locate that device. You can lock it, send a message to it, or remote wipe it. I think that's really neat because if you do lose your phone, let's say you're at an amusement park or somewhere like that and you lose your phone, sending a message to it to let them know, hey, place this phone in at the call desk in the Harry Potter area, Harry Potter world. I don't know where you are. And it'll make it easier for you to find it or have someone put it where it can be located. So that's really cool. And my only pet peeve now is that most new phones don't have Bluetooth. They don't have a spot for headphones. They got rid of the headphone jack. So you have to get Bluetooth speaker earphones. And if they are inside of the case, you can't find them. Now, if the earbuds are outside of the case, you can ping it and it'll make a noise and you can find it. But if they're in the case, you can't find it. They need to figure that out. Once they figure it out, I'll be a happy person because you can lose the case. It's super small. Any questions about locating apps? Of course not. You guys know that. 4, remote backup applications. Backing up your data with the iPhone can be done by connecting it to a Mac or device using iTunes to manage it. The user start. the mobile device as their main tool. It may not be optimal way to manage backups. Online backup is available through iCloud, which is an attractive way because of the size of the stuff that you want to back up, the frequency, and also you can do it anywhere. Android also have cloud backup options. It's they're not native, but they have Dropbox or box.net. Are we backing up our phones, folks? Are we using the cloud? That's what I'm talking about. I know, Kelly, you're doing it.
I'm not using the cloud.
You're backing it up
I
locally?
back up my phone, but I don't use the cloud.
Well, you just keep plugging it up to your computer?
I back things up to hard drives. Remember, I maintain multiple hard drives.
I ask myself, do I have important stuff like that? I back up at least once. I'm ashamed to say probably once a quarter. So, but I am clouded. So I do have the cloud. I pay 99 cents. It's probably, I think that's the new thing. Micro donations is what I call them. But I pay 99 cents for whatever amount of gigs that they give you. And I never would go over that amount. But I will say this, it's if you are changing a device or you find yourself as a person who always misplaces it, you need to back it up because it feels so good to be able to come to your computer and plug it up and restore from a backup, and it looks like you never missed a beat. You still got the same information there. So I do appreciate that and will encourage that also. Remote backup applications, any questions? Didn't think so. Failed login attempt restrictions. Kelly has a really good story about iOS that I would love for him to share after I just express what this is. So after so many times of actually typing in the incorrect password, you could enable a function that would allow it to erase the information from that device. Or you can allow it to just continue to create a certain time component that has to pass or elapse before you can get into the device. But Kelly, would you share the story about the fail login, sir?
Yeah, because Apple used to, they don't do this anymore, but they used to have it to where, you had 3 failed logins and then it would go to a minute. If you failed in again, it would go to an hour. If you failed again, it would go to a day. So they would escalating attempts to length of time that they would lock you out of your phone for, and this could not be bypassed because they were trying to be security minded. I'm trying to talk faster because Renzi wants it that way.
Yeah, she won't let it go, man.
So lady was in a grocery store. Her 1-year-old managed to grab her phone out of her wallet. And once she grabbed her phone, the 1-year-old grabbed the phone out of the wallet, and 1-year-olds are apt to just kind of keep mashing buttons and stuff like that. So for 5 minutes, this 1-year-old kept mashing buttons and hitting enter, and mashing buttons and hitting enter, mashing buttons and hitting enter. Mom wasn't paying attention to it because she was trying to get stuff going, and the kid was entertained. So why bother? So eventually she looks at her phone, and she's locked out of her phone for 3 years. Because
wow,
excessive failure extended the length of time and it kept growing exponentially. So she was literally locked out for 3 years. I think now the most they do is a day because of this particular incident, and it actually went pretty viral, people talking about it. So, and they, she calls tech support and they're just like, I
don't know what to do, right?
At this point.
But it was a cool tool, and cool and on the surface. And I know a lot of people was like, yeah, that's work. Give them a little time to figure it out so they won't just keep willy-nilly. Like, I get it, but that was a major flaw in the process there.
See, kids ruin convenient features. Anybody who's ever had a 2-year-old around and had one-click ordering turned on their Amazon?
I bet. Don't
you'll get a bunch of weird stuff showing up at your house as soon as they can figure out they can do it.
So
And Alexa, that was another one. Kids would order stuff on Alexa and it would just show up at the house. As soon as like I had an Alexa for about a few minutes, but then I would I'll tell the story in that in just a second. But the first thing I did when I set it up was put a PIN number for any order. So any orders, you would have to know the PIN number in order to place the order. Some people didn't do that. Yeah, the dirt bike one. But yeah, as far as
the ice cream in New York, somewhere upstate, somewhere in New York, the boy ordered so much ice cream from Amazon, and they didn't have a place to store it. So they organized like community things so they could sell it, so the lady could pay back Amazon because they brought the ice cream. They brought it, so they had like a little block sale, and they were selling the cones to help her out because she had so much ice cream. Yeah, you got to get rid of.
Nothing in the algorithm caught the fact that like I'd like to order 5 tons of ice cream. Okay, we'll ship that to you. Not, are you sure?
That's quality, man. It's quality. They let you know you get things done.
Yeah,
I wanted you to share that because that's a good way to look at it. Convenience is a big no-no with when you bring kids into the fold.
Yeah, because they figure out that convenient part really quick.
Right.
So my thought on Google, Alexa, Cortana, all of those things, back in the 50s and the 60s, they were saying, by the time 20 whatever gets here in about 50 years, the government is going to have spying devices in every home. This was a conspiracy theory, like there's no way the government's going to do that. And then you fast forward to 2020 and it's, hey, spying device. Please set a timer for 5 minutes. Because you have these things that are constantly listening to you. And what's really scary is like, you can go into their applications and see what they've recorded. And so you can go in there and see there's a whole bunch of conversations that have been recorded that they're just like, yeah, we're analyzing this to see if you were actually making a request. There have been instances where the police were called because they heard recording an argument and they thought there was going to be a problem. So it went ahead and called the police based off of an Alexa recording. So
to piggyback on that with Kelly, you want it, but do you really want it? It's always that feeling that you want it. It's nice, it's cool, but do you really want it? So you gotta weigh that out. You surely have to weigh that out. But that's so weird to have them always listening.
But that's the way they can. That's the only way they can function, like it's listening, quote unquote, for the wake words, be it hey Alexa, hey Google, hey Siri.
But it's always
whatever.
Yeah, it's not even with that. It's always
mics are always on, always listening. And because it can't interpret everything, they require there are people who, no joke, their entire job is to listen to recordings and document what they hear, so that the AI can properly interpret what it hears.
Yeah. And I think you could turn it off sometimes if you've been asked. Sometimes they'll ask you, do you want to participate?
Well, you can mute it, like on the Alexa device, you can mute it and it has the red ring on it, lets you know that it's muted.
Yeah. Diaz, can you see the slides? Do you mind reading this next one? Appreciate it, Kelly.
Sure. Antivirus and anti-malware. Mobile devices can suffer from viruses and malware just like laptops and desktops. Major antivirus vendors such as McAfee and I don't know how to pronounce that. Kaspersky.
Look at me, man. The person that can't say
make antivirus and anti-malware products for mobile devices that provide the same real-time protection that the products do for desktops. The same guidelines apply for these mobile devices. Keep them up to date by setting the device to check for updates whenever connected to the internet.
Thank you, ma'am. I will tell you this. This is kind of like a little hack. If you have those major providers for television like AT&T, maybe like Uverse or DirecTV, Xfinity, Comcast. A lot of these big boxes, they have free antivirus, anti-malware software for their users. It's kind of like a mutualistic relationship there. So don't buy it if you are attached to these big entities, because you can use theirs for free. And it extends to the mobile devices also. So do I have one going now? No. Do I think most of you have one going? Possibly not. To know that it exists and to get it for free and start using it, that's a good thing. You know, it's a good idea. And I'm all for making sure you understand before you go out and buy. See if you have access to a free version that's just this will be the same as the paid version, but you're getting it for free because of the service.
Free version of a well-known one. Make sure to do the research. Don't just download a quote unquote free antivirus. Please don't do that.
Yeah, that's a good caveat. Which is the ones that attach typically to the big companies are the well-known ones. But that's exactly right, Kelly. Don't just go out and just get the antivirus software that's free 99, because that may be a recipe for some hurt. Virus. Yeah, some hurt down the line. That's so correct. And Conspiracy is super neat. I played with it when I was at Circuit City. I just thought I was cool because I never really heard of that one, you know. And anybody don't know anything about Mr. McAfee, do a quick Google on him. He's a fun guy. I don't know if anybody heard about his life, but he's a wild boy. John, I think it's John McAfee, something like that, but he's a wild boy. Like leaving the country to hide out and a whole lot of stuff, but he's super smart too. Patching OS and updates. So just like desktops, when you have Windows updates or certain updates that are pushed out, possibly monthly, quarterly, however they roll out, there are also patches that come out right away, because a patch is something that we know needs to be addressed quickly, so we'll push a patch out. Patches are available for mobile devices as well. So as it reads, for the iPhone, both OS updates and security patches are available on their site. Automatic updates can be enabled for the device in iTunes, and the check for updates also happens on your device as well. Auto update is a feature built in Android, or you can also choose to manually push patches by going to settings, about phone system updates. A lot of this stuff happened in the background without much user intervention, because it's set to do it automatically unless you have it turned off. Typically, it's set to do it. You out of the box. It wants to be the most up-to-date and the most secure, at least on that end. Any questions about patching or OS updates? Have you ever had a problem where you couldn't update your phone because you had so much stuff on it? There was times where I would have to like delete like pictures and stuff to make room for an update. And that's the worst. That's when you know you're down bad. But I've done that quite a few times. Biometric authentication. The two common types are the fingerprint and the facial recognition scans. As it says, both of these can possibly deliver false negatives and false positives. I think it's gotten better over time, but there was an instance that we could think about that we've talked about in the past where with the facial recognition, people could put up a picture of a person and it will allow the phone to unlock. And that's wild. But now I think with all of the different angles that they push you to log to get it going, I think that has improved considerably. I can honestly say I haven't had anybody been able to get into my phone using their finger when I had the finger portion or face right now. So I'm thinking that process and that technology has evolved a little bit. So that's the two options there, facial and fingerprint. And the OGA was always going to be your code. full device encryption. So this is the one that I like to speak on. So when you plug your iOS device up to your computer and you want to download a full encrypted backup, meaning you need to know the password in order for that backup to work, you press that button and then they'll ask for the password if you don't have one set. And that will allow you to get more. Okay, so if you look at it, it says on this computer, a full backup of your phone will be stored on the computer. The encrypted version will allow for passwords, health information, and some other things that don't get pulled over through a full backup because they feel like it's personal enough that you need to have a password on it. So that's why you would choose that option. Had to do that recently. And I like it. I like the fact that it asks for a password so it can pull all of that information off of the phone. Any questions about full device encryptions? Someone wants to read multi-factor authentication for me?
I will.
Go for it.
Authentication factors describe the method used to verify the user's identity. There are 4 factors of authentication. Something you know, username or password, something you have, key fob, keys or smart card, something you are, biometrics, somewhere you are with GPS. This factor is based on your location. When 2 different types of factors are required, it is called multi-factor authentication. Using 2 or more of the same type of factors, such as a password and a PIN, is not multi-factor authentication. When multi-factor authentication is used for mobile devices, the level of security is significantly increased.
Thank you, TK. So it sometimes appears as a hassle when it's asked, but I do enjoy knowing that there's levels to this. Like even with now with Yahoo email, I think to log into your Yahoo email, it'll ask to send something to another device to, hey, are you trying to log on to this device? Yes. Okay, you got to hit yes over here. Okay, we'll put this code in. I'm like, God, I don't even use that email like that. But it's the fact that it's offered up, it makes you feel, and also let you know that there's levels to security there. So understand that those factors will come to you. So understand something you know, which is your username, password. Something you have could be some type of key fob or a card. Something you are, which is biometrics, and somewhere you are, which is your location. So just let those ideals bounce around upstairs a little bit. Multi-factor authentication. So to go along with that, they have Authenticator Apps. I think I have one. Let me see if anybody uses an Authenticator app, speak on it right now. You have the floor while I search for the one that I
do. I don't know much about it, but I know I tried to connect my laptop and my phone, and the app on my phone prompted me to do something, I guess, acknowledge the connection that my computer was a trusted device or something. I don't know.
Okay. Someone else said, was it you, Luis? Somebody else said that they use it. Who
Me, my MCU account.
Okay. So I know also with me, if you have if you work through like a VPN, they would typically send something to your phone to authenticate it and use in conjunction with the login. It's called, the one I have on my phone is called Google Authenticator. That's the one that I'm using. But in the past, if I needed to remote into a computer remotely, and that sounds so wild. If I'm at home and I'm trying to remote into a computer of someone, I would also have to use this Authenticator app to use the software to remote in. So that's kind of a super neat thing. And look, I wasn't even looking at the screen. So Google Authenticator is one I have. And like it said, it does have this timeout on the codes that it sends you. And that's a time-based on-time password. So it's generated at the time, and it can change within a certain matter of a time period, and to ensure that this person that has it, this person that needs it, you know, and it's being put in a timely fashion. So the cool thing about that is some applications are requiring it, or you could also engage in Authenticator depending on what you're doing as well. So I think that, once again, having multiple ways to secure the device is better than being stuck with none or just one. So your mileage may vary in this position, but that's all it is. Authenticator application. It works in conjunction with whatever app that you're using to ensure that you are who you are with some help. Make you jump through some hoops. Like I said, it can be annoying, but it should be comforting to know that you do have something in place to assist if by any chance you find yourself without your device and someone's trying to use it. Firewalls. Evan, go for it, sir.
Mobile device firewall products are those that install on the device and protect the device in the same way a personal firewall on a desktop system, such as the Windows firewall does. The disadvantage to this approach is that the software runs continuously, thus placing an ongoing load on the battery. Likewise, intrusion prevention and intrusion detection software can be placed on a mobile device, again with the same effect on battery lifetime.
Check that out. So Evan, the takeaway from that whole slide is knowing that if you get a question that talks about firewall and they ask you what the disadvantage is, you're going to tell me what, sir? What is the disadvantage of having a firewall on your mobile device?
It can affect your battery life.
That's it. That's it. Anything that's constantly running is going to be a drag on the battery. And that's how a question on the test will be framed. So just be on the lookout for that, because we've seen that in the past. So everything that's constantly running, like a NIPS or a NIDS, you will have a drain on your battery. Trusted versus, go for it.
Okay, so can you see, like I have an antivirus, but mine allows me to let it run in the background so it doesn't use my battery. Do they have firmware that does that, or does it just run continuously?
If it's running, Diaz, it's running, and it may have some type of, and this is probably a lack of a better word, like a limp mode or a light mode to run. It's not fully like just going hard, which is using more of the performance. But there's gonna be a draw on your battery. To what extent, it just depends. But it's gonna happen. It has to happen. In order to work, it has to run. In order to run, it's gonna pull. But I can tell you that as time continues to pass, they're getting more cunning with how they do it, how they run those programs. So it can be attached to things that run at such super light weight that is not making a big pull on your battery, but it's pulling on that battery. Just FYI. But good question. And the goal is from them to make people want to use it is to try to figure out how they can negate the issue that comes with running it. So I'm sure that's something they continue to do also. But you can probably do a test, Diaz, with have your battery fully charged one day and run it, and then have it charged one day and then turn it off and see how much longer you have a battery to kind of see what you're doing. Minus the phone calls, which you can't. You're going to make phone calls. Trusted sources versus untrusted sources. New voice.
I'll go.
All right, hold that hand, Chris. We're gonna get Taj a chance. She's still in the house. We didn't go outside, so that's good.
Oh my gosh. All right, so trusted sources and untrusted sources. Applications and utilities for mobile devices can come from both trusted and untrusted sources. As an example of a trusted source is official Google Play site or the Apple Store. Any piece of software, be it an application, tool, or utility, can come with malware attached. Users should be trained to regard any software downloads with suspicion. Apple devices warn users with a pop-up message when they download from an unknown source. Android devices have a setting to enable or disable apps installation from unknown sources. It may be advisable to use an enterprise mobility management system to prevent users from downloading any software to a company owned by a mobile device.
Thank you, ma'am. That last bullet is really cool. If you are in a position where you are managing the use of company issued mobile devices, there are applications like this mobility management system that will actually limit what those your users can download, especially if it's on that, like we do the firewall, like the black and white list. It really just stops them from being able to do it. So they'll have to go to Facebook on the browser. They won't be able to download that. So those type of things will kind of make sure that that business devices continue to be used for business and not for anything else. I think that both of the stores, the Apple Store and the Google Play Store, they only vet apps that went through the process of being application that can work. Now, what's kind of neat about that is some people there's ways around it, but those apps get flagged after a while. But it has to be a trusted app to actually be in their webs in their stores, unless you go to a different place to try to download your app. But I do also like that even when you plug up your device to your computer, a lot of times it asks, if this is a trusted system, because it saw that something was plugged up and it needs to acknowledge, hey, you know what you just did. Am I able to access this? Will this affect me? So everybody's kind of on guard when it comes towards security. It's subtle at times, and then sometimes it's in your face. Any questions about trusted or untrusted sources? Thank you, Taj. All right, BYOD. Chris, I'm gonna let this one come to you, sir. Do I see Chris?
Policies and procedures. Device ownership, company owned or BYOD. One of the decisions that must be made on every company is whether to allow only company-owned mobile devices on the network or to allow personal devices as well. Many organizations have launched Bring Your Own Device, BYOD initiatives. While this certainly makes the users happy, it brings with it new challenges in securing a wide range of user devices running on all sorts of platforms. One of the ways enterprises have successfully implemented BYOD is without sacrificing the security of the network is by turning to enterprise mobility management systems. In a corporate environment, onboarding and offboarding company policies for BYOD might include remote backup apps, remote wipes, encryption, firewalls, VPN connections, anti-malware, and apps that prevent jailbreaking and rooting.
Thank you, sir. BYOD has its pluses and minuses. We can see now why, because if you're asked to store work stuff on a personal device, there's this relationship that has to be there that ensures that those work items are protected and safe. But the cost of not having to issue out devices for everybody may be a reason for a person to consider BYOD. But there's policies that you have to adhere to and things you may have to sign if you choose to have your device as a part of a work device. And even if you don't allow personal device on the network, we all got unlimited data for the most part. So you're still going to use, it's not going to stop anything. So one thing about actually allowing it, you got a little bit of information at that point. So I think a lot of companies are all for allowing it now, because we can peak a little bit when we allow it. It's when we don't see it is when we're more having to try to assume and figure out what's going on. Part 2 of that BYOD. I'm gonna go to Umberto. If you'll read for me, sir.
Profile security requirements. The baseline or minimum security settings required on all mobile devices must be determined and standardized. This may require the creation of multiple security profiles based on different mobile device models and types, but the theory is the same. By definition, a collection of security settings, implementing them on all devices, and constantly monitoring the settings for changes, you can ensure that these settings are maintained.
Thank you, sir. So kind of piggyback off what I just said in the slide before, once you allow your device to be a part of the organizations, as far as on that BYOD, bring your own device policy, then that relationship will require you to allow certain applications to be ran and maintained on your device to ensure a certain level of security. And that's going to kill your battery too. But still, it's like, hey, we asked that you want a device, or you said that you wanted to use your device. These are some of the hoops that you have to jump through. I like I said, a mobility management app really helps kind of identify our watch, but Kelly will let you know the drawback of having a company issued device. They can always get in touch with you, and you don't want that. You don't really want that. Go ahead, Rienzi.
On the I just have a question about the previous slide. I don't know those terms, jailbreaking and rooting. What are they?
You don't know jailbreaking or rooting, and you're all on the dark web? What? Anybody want to tell Rienzi what jailbreaking and or rooting is about before I give her a spiel? Okay, Alan, go for it. Hold on, Alan. I want to see what Renee says. I really want to see this. Go for it, Renee. I'm interested.
Like the meaning of it.
Yeah, tell her
Like,
what
is it for?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so like for instance, if you have an iPhone, a certain network, and you jailbreak it so that you can be able to use it and switch it over like anywhere. Because a lot of the iPhones are restricted or limited to certain servers or whatever.
I'm gonna jump in there and clean.
Jailbreak my iPhone.
I'm gonna jump in there and clean it up just a little bit. So as Renee kind of jumped, she was in the right area, but jailbreaking will allow you to, if you go to the iTunes, the Apple store, what do they call it? The iStore, whatever it's called. There's certain applications that's in there. And I just told you that there's a process to get your app in the store. Let's say you want dip apps that's not in the store. Well, the way to get around that is you got to jailbreak it. So you literally alter the software of the device that will allow you the ability to enable you to access certain applications that are not normally available. And those applications could allow you to watch movies or that's at the movies and do certain things. So, but the Apple store try to keep you away from those by making it so their proprietary software is all that you're able to use. That's why Google and Android kind of have a better relationship with the community, because you got a little more leniency on how you can add and subtract different things to that device. Alan, you want to add to that, or did I do a good job? Tell me.
I think you did a really good job, but one thing I would say, like, you got to add, like, when jailbreaking, you're modifying your phone to be able to access these things. But yeah, I think you said it right.
I appreciate it. I was hoping that you started that way. You got to start. You got to start on the right foot. Go for it, Renzi.
So that's what. So they're the same thing. Jailbreaking and rooting. That's what the same thing. They're the same thing. Just basically making your.
So jailbreaking is the talk for iOS. Rooting is going to be the talk for the Android device.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Chris, could you add anything, or that was good for you?
No, I was just gonna ask what the difference between rooting and jailbreaking was, but y'all answer that.
Okay. Chris, I would have thought you would have. I'm surprised that that wasn't on your radar.
No, I'm familiar with jailbreaking, but I guess since I've never had an Android or anything, I don't really know what rooting is.
Got you. Okay, I got you. Well, Renzi, and then you read this one. I think this one works for you.
It's for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Jailbreaking is the process of modifying an iPhone so that you have unrestricted access to the entire file system. This access allows you to install apps not downloaded from the App Store and to make custom modifications to the phone's interface. For Android, it's called rooting. Wow, look at this. No jailbreaking voids any manufacturer warranty on the device, violates the end user license agreement, EULA, with Apple, might violate the BYOD, bring your own device policies in an enterprise environment.
Look at that, man. Ask and you shall receive. You caught that, CM? So come and fit pitfalls. Did y'all catch that? Did I just flip that word? Come and pitfalls is what I wanted to say. When securing mobile devices. What is that called when you move words around like that? Mark, take us home. I think we're supposed to.
Dyslexia.
Yeah, dyslexia.
A little slight.
Okay.
Don't do it. Don't do it to me.
Unauthorized location tracking. Location tracking allows the device to determine your location for the purpose of tailoring search results. Location tracking can be disabled on a mobile device. In most cases, disabled location tracking is the default, and users will be asked by certain applications if they want to enable it. When a user has either never enabled this feature or has disabled this feature, and it suddenly begins to track the location of the device, it is an indication that the device has been compromised.
Thank you, sir. I might let you roll on to this next one too. Let's see. Go for it, sir.
Unauthorized root access. While mobile devices grant the owner control over all available settings on the device, they do not grant the owner total control over the device. Total control or root access allows the user to customize the device far beyond what the user could normally do. Advanced users may root their device so they can attain this access level. If changes begin to appear on the device that could be made by a user with only root permissions, it is a sign the device has been compromised.
Okay, so both sides, appreciate it, Mark. Both sides here are allowing you to identify ways that you can see if this device had some alterations or some modifications that would prove it to be unsafe to have in your network or a part of the BYOD. So that would be having certain levels of root access that they shouldn't have, and also being able to disable the tracking on that device, because we want tracking to be there, because That's how, if that device gets stolen, or, you know, truck drivers probably always have something in their car to keep them. We know exactly where they are. We want to know. That's also part of this thing. We need to know where you are. So if you disable that or turn that off, there's a level of compromising that can be identified there, saying that that is unsafe to have on the network. Of course, this is where we would place a lab, and you probably have that already in your, on this particular day. But if we don't have any questions, and I'm looking for hands, I don't see any hands. I don't see hands. Okay. Today's technical session revisited. We should now know the importance of securing and best practices of securing mobile devices. Also, policies and procedures that may be in play, like the BYOD, and also common pitfalls to be on the lookout for to see if that device has been compromised, like rooting and jailbreaking. Suero, did I say that right? Suero and Marson Gill.
Yes, that's correct.
I like it, man. I'm getting better. If you have any questions, ask them now about securing mobile devices. All right.